All right, let's just jump right in with a huge question, one that kind of frames everything we're going to talk about today. What if our entire definition of progress is, well, just wrong?
I mean, you've seen this picture a million times, right? This is what we're taught progress looks like. On one side, you've got a forest, and on the other, a city. But this image is built on a really shaky idea that nature is just something to be bulldozed to make way for us.
So to really get why we need a totally new way of thinking, we have to look at the old blueprint, the one that got us here, which comes from what you'd call classical economics.
In this traditional model, the economy is the whole show. It's the big circle. And the environment? Well, it's treated like a little box inside that circle, just a warehouse full of resources for us to use. Timber, water, minerals, they're just inputs for the great machine of the human economy.
The problem is, when you treat the Earth like an endless supply closet, you eventually start seeing the consequences. And this business-as-usual approach has led us straight to some massive problems: vanishing forests, polluted everything, a warming planet, and a devastating loss of wildlife. These aren't accidents. They're the direct result of that flawed blueprint.
So, as all these problems became pretty much impossible to deny, a new way of thinking, a powerful new definition, started to emerge. And honestly, it was a total game changer.
And here it is. This is the big one. This definition from way back in 1987 really gave us a new path forward. It sounds simple, but trust me, the idea behind it is incredibly powerful. Let's actually break it down.
Okay, so this whole idea rests on two really big concepts of fairness, or what's called equity. First, you got intra-generational equity. Think of it like this. It's about making sure everyone who's alive right now gets what they need to live a decent life. But then there's the second part, intergenerational equity. And that's about the future. It's about us not being so greedy today that we leave a mess for our kids and grandkids to clean up.
You know, this quote from Mahatma Gandhi just nails the spirit of it all. Men's need but not greed could be supported by our Earth. It's this core idea that the planet provides enough for everyone, but it can't sustain endless greed. That's really the heart of sustainable development.
So, with this new definition, how does our picture of the world change? Well, it basically takes that old economic model and completely flips it on its head. It gives us a much more realistic blueprint for how things actually work.
This right here, this is the huge shift in thinking. It's not the environment living inside our economy, no way. It's our entire human economy existing as a small part inside the much, much larger environment. It's a total 180 from the old view.
And this image shows that new perspective perfectly. See? The human economy is just this little subsystem. It has to pull in energy and materials from the environment to survive, and it spits out waste back into it. It makes it so clear that our economy is 100% dependent on the health of the planet.
This new way of thinking also gives us a crucial new term: natural capital. Now, this isn't just about stuff we can mine or chop down. It includes everything the planet gives us: clean air, fresh water, good soil, and, this is key, all the jobs those ecosystems do for us for free, like filtering water or absorbing CO2. That's natural capital.
You know, the easiest way to think about this is like a bank account. Natural capital is the planet's savings, the principal amount in the account. For decades, we've been spending down that principal. It feels good for a little while, but eventually you go broke. True sustainability is about learning to live off the interest the planet generates, while leaving that principle untouched for the future. Okay, so if we have a whole new model for how the world works, it makes sense that we need a new way to measure success, right? The old ruler just doesn't work anymore.
Now, this chart tells such an interesting story. That dashed line is GDP per person. And look, it's a pretty picture of constant growth, always going up. But then look at the solid line. That's something called the Genuine Progress Indicator, or GPI. It went up for a while too, but then, around the 1970s, it just flatlined. So what in the world is going on here?
That growing gap between the two lines is telling us something huge. It's saying that for decades, while our economy was getting bigger on paper, our actual well-being wasn't improving at all. Here's why. GDP counts all spending as good. So if there's a huge oil spill, all the money spent on the cleanup actually makes GDP go up. But the GPI says, hold on, and it subtracts the cost of that environmental damage, showing that we're actually worse off.
So we've got a new definition, a new economic model, and better ways of measuring what really matters. So the final piece is, how do we actually put this stuff into practice around the world?
Well, this didn't just happen overnight. It was a real evolution in global thinking. It started picking up steam in 2000 with goals focused on poverty. By 2012, everyone realized we needed a much bigger, more comprehensive plan, which led to the Sustainable Development Goals. And then in 2015, they were officially adopted by pretty much everyone as our shared roadmap, with a deadline of 2030.
And here they are. These 17 goals are all interconnected. They cover everything from ending poverty and hunger to fighting climate change and creating responsible economies. This is our modern blueprint for a better, more sustainable world for every single one of us.
And that really brings us to the final question, and maybe the most important one. The destination is clear. A world that works for everyone, today and tomorrow. The only question left is the one we all have to ask ourselves. What part are we going to play in building it?